Every alien species learned the same truth about Deathworld Cadets. Arrival at Crucible Station. The orbital shuttle docked with a metallic groan as magnetic clamps secured it to Crucible Station's outer ring. A hiss of atmosphere flooded the airlock, and the first group of alien cadets stepped out, each representing the finest their worlds had to offer. Arik of the Thera Confederacy towered over the others, all muscle and scaled armor, his breathing tubes softly hissing. Beside him, Zelvan twins shimmered with bioluminescent skin, their wide violet eyes scanning the sterile corridor. The Ikari, a mantid-like species from a low-gravity world, twitched restlessly as they adjusted to the station's artificial pull. All of them had heard the same rumors. Crucible Station was the heart of the Galactic Peacekeeper Cadet Exchange, an experimental joint training effort designed to build unity among young soldiers of every spacefaring species. And yet, the name of the planet beneath the station had given them pause. Deathworld 12. No known alien species had settled there. The environment was too violent, the life forms too aggressive, the ecosystem too unrelenting. It was uninhabitable, and that was precisely where the humans came from. The cadets gathered in a reinforced training hangar, its high ceiling webbed with structural supports and lined with gleaming weapons racks. A line of humans stood opposite them, dozen or so teenagers in olive green fatigues. Some tall, some wiry, all with a quiet, unreadable look in their eyes. No greetings, no smiles. "Welcome to Crucible," said a voice. From the side entrance walked a woman in matte black tactical armor. Her dark hair was pulled into a tight braid, and a faded scar ran from her temple down to her cheekbone. She moved like a predator, slow, deliberate, always watching. "I'm Sergeant Mira Connors. You'll call me Instructor Connors, and you'll do exactly what I say, or you'll be shipped home in a pressure pod." Some cadets chuckled nervously. Ari crossed his arms, unimpressed. "Is this a test?" "No," Connors said flatly. "This is your life for the next 6 months. Survival, adaptation, cooperation. You think you're here to teach humans a few tricks?" She gestured to the Earth cadets. "They're here to teach you what it means to walk through hell and keep going." A Zelvan twin raised a translucent hand. "Instructor, if I may ask, are these the elite of your military?" Connors smirked. "These are 17-year-old students, not even active service yet." Murmurs rippled through the alien ranks. "Your first exercise begins now. Simulation room 4. Rescue scenario. 10-minute timer. Objective: retrieve the asset and extract." She turned to the human cadets. "Team Charlie, you're up." Without hesitation, 6 human teens peeled off from the formation and jogged toward the simulation room. The heavy doors sealed behind them. The aliens watched through the observation window as the scenario initialized. A dark, burning compound, enemy drones patrolling, hostiles hiding in debris. Complex, high-level stuff. "They'll fail," the Ikari whispered, clicking his mandibles. "Too chaotic." The timer started. Within 4 minutes, the drones were down. One human used a smoke canister to block thermal sensors. Another climbed a pipe like a monkey to disable overhead surveillance. The asset, a dummy marked as wounded, was recovered and extracted with clockwork precision. At 6:42, the doors reopened, and Team Charlie walked out, barely winded. "Debrief in Bay 2, Connors said. "Next team, Theric and Zelvans, you're up." As the humans passed the watching aliens, none of them boasted. No cheers, no chest thumping, just quiet nods and the occasional pat on the shoulder. They didn't even celebrate, one of the Zelvans whispered. "They don't need to," Arik muttered, suddenly uneasy. Connors turned to the remaining cadets. Her voice cut through the silence like a knife. "You're going to learn a lot here. Some of it will come from drills. Some of it will come from pain. But the most important lesson is this. You're not the strongest in this room just because your muscles bulge or your claws are sharp." She glanced at the Earth cadets. These kids were born on a world that tries to kill them before breakfast. Deathworlders, you want to survive next to them? Start paying attention. As the next team entered the simulation room, the alien cadets stood a little straighter. and for the first time, they wondered if they were ready for what awaited them on the station orbiting a planet called Deathworld 12. Lessons in pain. The next morning, Crucible Station vibrated with motion. Alarm chimes rang out at 0500, and the cadets were hustled into their gear before the lights were even fully up. Alien cadets grumbled as they filed into the training compound. The gravity still felt too heavy for the Ikari. The recycled air stank of sweat and metal. For those used to comfort and precision, this station felt more like a prison. The human cadets, by contrast, looked awake. Alert. Not eager exactly, but present. Ready. Instructor Mira Connors stood on the drill platform with her arms crossed. Her expression was unreadable. Today's objective, subterranean extraction, she said. You'll descend into the volcanic tunnels of Deathworld 12 and retrieve a beacon unit. Minimal assistance. 2 teams, one led by Arik of Theric, the other by Cadet Samira Cho. Samira, a slight human girl with her hair in a tight braid, gave a nod without a word. Arik snorted. You're letting her lead? She earned it, Connors said. You haven't. Moments later, a dropship ferried both teams to the surface. The doors opened into ash-choked air and jagged black stone. The wind howled like something alive. Arik squinted against the bitter gusts. This world should be dead. It is, Samira said, hopping down the ramp. That's what makes it fun. Inside the cave system, the temperature rose quickly. Sulfur burned in their lungs. Cracks glowed with molten heat beneath narrow ledges. The terrain was madness. As the team split, Arik led the Zelvins and an Ikari cadet through a narrow fissure. He barked orders with confidence, but the path soon became unstable. A tremor cracked the ground beneath them, sending the Ikari tumbling down a jagged slope. Help! I can't get traction! The insectoid shrieked, legs scrabbling. Arik jumped down, tried to lift him, but the footing was too slick. The heat warped their vision. Panic set in. Then came a noise, distant at first. Something slithering, hissing. The alien cadets froze. Meanwhile, Samira's team advanced steadily. She called back measurements, kept her crew moving with calm, clear instructions. One cadet slipped, she caught it with a rope and didn't even pause. These caverns collapse if you stay too long in one place, she said. Keep moving. When her team reached the beacon, a battered black box half submerged in a steaming pool, Samira didn't celebrate. She scanned the ceiling. Everyone back. Quietly. They moved as one. No wasted movement. No panic. At extraction, Samira's team climbed into the shuttle. She noticed Arik's group wasn't there. She frowned. They're late. Back in the cave, the noise was closer now. Something skittered just beyond the rock walls. Arik was sweating through his armor. The Ikari was moaning. Then a flash of movement. A creature burst through the wall, some hybrid of lava bug and serpentine predator. It shrieked and launched itself toward the group. Arik raised his blaster. Too slow. A shot rang out. The creature dropped mid-leap. Samira stood on the ledge above them, smoke rising from her rifle. You done playing hero? Arik stared, breathing hard. Her squad was with her, ropes ready. In 2 minutes, they had the Ikari up, Arik secured, and the group on the move. Back aboard Crucible Station, Arik sat in the med bay with burns on his arm and silence in his throat. Instructor Connors stood nearby, arms folded. I told you this world doesn't play fair, she said. I didn't expect it to hunt us. She shrugged. Neither did we, the first time. He looked at her. Why do your cadets act like it's normal? Connors leaned in. Because it is. Earth isn't much different. Acid storms, predatory megafauna, tectonic instability. You think we're strong because we like violence? No. We're strong because our planet tried to kill us every day, and we still learn how to work together. She gestured out the medbay window at Samira's team walking back to quarters. You're still thinking about strength like it's a weapon. But here, strength is how many people you can carry when things go to hell. Arik said nothing, but something in his gaze changed. In the following days, the alien cadets stopped scoffing. They watched the humans more carefully. They asked questions, and slowly, in bruises and near misses, they started to understand. Survival wasn't about glory. It was about grit. And grit was something Deathworld Cadets had in their bones. Unity under fire. It started with a scream. Not a simulated one. Not a drill alarm. A real, visceral cry that echoed through Crucible Station's lower deck, followed by the dull thud of something heavy collapsing against metal. Cadets scrambled out of bunks. The airlock to the equipment corridor had slammed shut. Emergency lights bathed the hallway in red. Sirens wailed. Instructor Connors burst into the dormitory hallway, rifle slung across her back. Her voice was like steel. All cadets, combat readiness. This is not an exercise. Within minutes, squads assembled, human and alien, armor half secured, weapons shaking in nervous hands. "What's happening?" asked Zelvin Cadet to Sheen, eyes glowing brighter in alarm. "Containment breach," Connors said, locking a panel with a code. "Deck 9. Something got out of the xenobiology labs." Arik's head snapped up. "Something? You mean a creature?" "One of the hybrids. Grown in a sealed biotube for resistance testing. We lost contact with the science crew 10 minutes ago. Thermal scans show rapid movement, fast, erratic." Samira Cho checked her pulse rifle and chamber round. "We splitting teams." Connors nodded. "Charlie Squad and Zelvin twins sweep the upper junction. Arik, Ikari, and the Garani twins with me. We're going to seal off Corridor 9B before it reaches the life support core." The cadets shared looks. This wasn't a training moment. This was survival. The station was a maze of metal and shadow. The emergency lights flickered, casting moving shapes that played tricks on the eye. The air was cold and sterile, but now laced with a deeper, biological stench, feral and sharp. "Movement in Junction 17, Samira whispered, tapping her wrist pad. She, Tashin, and her team approached a pressure door. One of the Zelvin twins extended a tentacle to interface with the control panel. The lights on the console blinked erratically, hacked. "Doors were overridden manually," she murmured. From the inside, a sudden thump, then a blur. A massive shape crashed through the panel above them, claws screeching against alloy. It was 3 meters tall, insectal and bipedal, with sinewy limbs and a head like a hammerhead shark's nightmare. "Contact," Samira barked. The team opened fire. Bolts of plasma and kinetic rounds lit up the corridor. The creature howled and slashed, claws carving through bulkheads. Samira dove forward, sliding beneath its swipe, then popped up and planted a charge against its lower carapace. "Back!" The explosion rocked the deck. The creature fell, screeching, injured but not dead. Samira knelt beside Tashin, who was bleeding from a deep gash across her arm. The Zelvin's glow dimmed. "I'm fine," she gasped. "Just keep shooting." "No. Fall back," Samira ordered. "We regroup at Junction 14. Go." Tashin hesitated, then obeyed. Meanwhile, Arik's team crept through the ventilation zone. The temperature was rising. Something had damaged the coolant lines. Instructor Connors led them with eerie calm, stopping every few meters to listen. Arik tried to match her movements, quiet, efficient, low to the ground. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the calms. "Charlie Squad under attack. Beacon set at Junction 14. Connors glanced at Arik. "Can you lead them to the beacon?" He hesitated. "I don't know the full path." "You know enough. Trust your instincts." She tossed him a command tablet and turned down a side corridor alone. Arik swallowed hard, then turned to the others. "Form up. With me." At Junction 14, smoke and blood painted the walls. Tashin was stabilizing a fallen cadet. The creature was still moving, slower now, wounded, but it kept adapting. The humans called it a hypermorphic predator, built from Earth's worst instincts: persistence, aggression, cunning. As it lunged again, Arik's team arrived. He didn't wait. Converging fire. "Pin it." The Ikari launched a spiked net. Garani twins laid suppressive fire. Arik, wielding a heavy blaster, took aim at the exposed spot Samira had damaged earlier. "Samira, on 3. Ready. 1, 2 now." The blast struck home. The creature shrieked one last time before collapsing in a smoking heap. The silence that followed was deafening. Later, in the infirmary, Connors stood over the recovering cadets. "You handled yourselves like soldiers," she said simply. "You didn't just survive, you adapted. You protected each other, and you stood your ground." Arik looked at Samira. "I wouldn't have made that call before. I'd have waited, hesitated." She nodded. "But you didn't." Connors turned away, satisfied. "You're learning the truth now," she said. "That Deathworlders aren't born strong. We're forged strong, and so are you." The cadets sat in silence. They had bled together, fought together, and for the first time, truly trusted one another. The lesson they never forgot. Crucible Station's recovery systems worked overtime in the following days. Engineers patched scorched hallways. Medbots replaced shredded insulation. The creature's carcass had been jettisoned into Deathworld 12's orbit, its data log for future analysis, and hopefully avoidance. But something more important had shifted than just scorched bulkheads. The cadets, human and alien, now trained side by side with a new rhythm. There were fewer mistakes, fewer egos, less silence. The shared near-death experience had melted through layers of species pride. Now, there was only the mission and each other. In the training yard, Arik was spotting Samira as she climbed a sheer wall without assistance. She slipped near the top. He didn't shout instructions. He simply held his position, ready to catch her. She reached the ledge and called down, grinning. "Next time, I'm doing it blindfolded." Arik smirked. "Next time, I'm adding a fire pit." Nearby, the Ikari cadet and a human named Ramos ran timed obstacle courses side by side. One leapt with chitin limbs, the other ducked, slid, and vaulted. They finished neck and neck, both laughing, panting. Instructor Connors watched from the upper level, arms folded behind her back. Admiral Vareth of the Galactic Coalition arrived at her side, his flowing navy robe brushing the deck. "You've done the impossible," the Admiral said. "I've never seen Theric, Zelvin, and Ikari soldiers operate without squabbling. And with humans, no less." Connors didn't turn. "It wasn't me. It was the planet." The Admiral arched a brow. "Explain." "Deathworld 12 doesn't care about treaties or bloodlines," she said. "It doesn't care about species superiority or planetary pride. It doesn't care if you were hatched, grown, or born in a palace. It treats everyone the same." She nodded at the training cadets below. "And once you realize you're not above the hell you're standing on, you learn who'll bleed with you. That's the only hierarchy that matters." Vareth was quiet for a moment, then smiled thinly. The Coalition had its doubts about this program. "I know," Connors said. "We thought we were bringing the humans into something greater." Connors gave a humorless laugh. "And now you realize they've been living something harder." The final trial approached. Each year, Crucible Station concluded its cadet cycle with a live exercise, a multi-day endurance mission into Deathworld 12's deep wilderness. No backup, no evac. A single objective: traverse 50 kilometers of unstable terrain, retrieve a rescue pod beacon, and signal for extraction. Most years, half the cadets tapped out early. But this year was different. As the teams prepared, Arik approached Samira. "This time," he said, "you follow my lead for once." She raised an eyebrow. "Only if you finally figured out how to read the terrain signs." He showed her a map with marked geothermal flows and wind vectors. "I had the Ikari teach me. I watched the storm shifts. And I paid attention." Samira grinned. "Look at you. Practicing humility. Practicing survival," Arik corrected. The expedition was brutal. Acid rain fell within the first 12 hours. 2 Zelvins nearly lost consciousness crossing a gas-choked ravine. A Theric cadet slipped during a night raid by subterranean flyers and broke his shoulder. Ramos carried him for 8 kilometers. They moved in silence when needed, fought when cornered, shared rations, took turns carrying the comms relay when it overheated. And when they finally reached the ridge with the shattered pod's beacon, they didn't celebrate. They built a fire perimeter, set up camouflage, and posted watch rotations. They didn't need orders. They were a unit. Back aboard Crucible Station, the graduating cadets stood in formation before the Coalition banner. Instructor Connors paced before them, slower now, hands behind her back. You've done what few in the galaxy believed possible, she said. You forged brotherhood across biology, culture, and instinct. You faced an unforgiving planet, and you came out not just alive, but together. She stopped in front of Arik and Samira. You now understand the truth that every alien species eventually learns that humans aren't terrifying because they're violent, or cruel, or cold. She turned to face the entire class. They're terrifying because they endure. They adapt. They refuse to let the universe shake them. And if you stand beside them, if you match them, you become something stronger than either of you were alone. She nodded slowly. You are no longer cadets. A pause. You are Crucible. The chamber was silent. Then every cadet, alien and human, raised a clenched fist across their chest. Not in salute, but in understanding. And in distant war rooms and command centers across the galaxy, commanders reviewed Crucible Station's graduating files with narrowed eyes. The alien species had learned their lesson. Deathworlders didn't just survive. They taught others how to thrive in hell. And that changed everything.